Warning, this play involves sexual violence. Letters of Mercy by Stephen Olson.
MERCI Langston slowly comes to a standing position and slowly raises her face. MERCI pauses for a moment and takes another step forward.
Allow me to introduce myself to you. My name is MERCI Langston. It used to be Mercy Hammer until I was adopted. The Langston did more than adopt me. They changed my life. They may have even saved my life. Before them, I was being raised by a single mother, a person who probably should never have had children. I never knew my father. I'm not even sure my mother knew who my father was. From what I remember of my childhood before the Langstons was being on my own and staying out of the way of my mother and her many boyfriends and drug dealers. I learned to survive and depend on myself. I had no other choice. At least until the Langstons moved into my neighborhood, then everything changed, like sunlight breaking through an ending storm.
MERCI moves behind Armstead Langston. She runs her fingers over the back of his head. Armstead raises his head up. He rubs his hand over his face and looks around.
Dad, you really shouldn't sleep like this. It's not good for you. He hasn't been sleeping well lately. I worry about his health. I think he may be spending too much time in the past.
She leans toward the end table and reaches toward a photo on the table.
I see you brought out that photo of me again. Do you remember that day? The day we first met?
You were so young. A very precious jewel in a dark place.
Armstead puts the photo down and stands up. He moves over to the shelf and picks up a camera.
I remember you used to follow me around the neighborhood as I took some photos to document the area.
MERCI begins to twirl around Armstead like a little girl dancing. Armstead moves around pretending to take pictures.
You begged me to take your picture, but I kept telling you I would need your parents' permission. You said that's not fair since I forget exactly. What was it?
Armstead kneels on one leg while holding the camera up to his face. MERCI continues to dance around.
I said I had no father and my mother would not care. In fact, she might want someone to take me off her hands.
She might want someone to take me off her hands. I do remember. It was the saddest thing I ever heard. And what made it so sad was that you said it so matter of fact.
I was being honest.
Yeah, you were always so direct and honest. Well, on that day, I just didn't know how serious you were. I did not know you. I did not know anything about your mother or your life. It was not until later that I truly could understand what you had to deal with.
I was just a scruffy 9-year-old who was following you all over the neighborhood. But you did promise me that if I ever needed anything...
I did promise you that if you ever needed help with anything, I would help you as long as your mother did not mind. Then you looked away. Like you were thinking of your mother. You looked so alone and lost. And I took your photo.
Truth be told, I would have let you take 1,000 photos. It was the first time anyone had paid that much attention to me. I didn't want that day to end. I didn't want to go home. After that day with you, I knew that there would never be anything for me at home.
Armstead stands up.
And then came that night.
MERCI stops dancing.
A dark night of pouring rain and a knocking on our door. When Beth opened that door, I remember she said it's almost as if she expected it to be you standing there.
I Remember, Mrs. Langston did not seem to be surprised to see me. She just said, "Come in, out of the rain, and get warm by the furnace." I was shivering, but not from the rain.
Must have been horrible for you, seeing your mother lying lifeless on the floor.
I tried to shake her, to wake her, but she wasn't sleeping.
And then the ambulance came and the police. And I was surprised the police allowed us to keep you that night.
I guess you made their job a little easier, less paperwork.
That was the night that changed everything for all of us. Beth and my life became more full when you became an addition in our family.
Mine too. I've often wondered what I would have become if I had not run to your house that night. I wondered if my life would have ended more like Jack's.
Then came Jack.
Then came Jack.
The sound of rain stops.
It's almost impossible to imagine how such a brief encounter could change so many lives in such a devastating manner. Jack Dunlop was the storm that comes up suddenly, leaving a path of desolation.
Jack is sleeping on a cot.
You're looking better. How long has it been now? Clean almost 2 years?
Jack begins moaning and shacking in his bed. He abruptly throws off the covers and jumps up from his bed.
No! Get out of here!
Now, what kind of greeting is that?
Jack stands up for a moment, then moves back to his bed and sits down.
Nightmare every damn night.
Those old demons coming back to torture you.
More fucking torturous than needing a goddamn fix.
Jack stands up, walks toward MERCI. He stares into her direction, then walks away and begins pacing.
What was you? You keep coming back every day. I think I'm gonna get past you, then the night comes and the nightmares. When will you let me go?
It's not me. It's you.
Get out of my head! Sometimes I think I was better off being high all the time. Being real, being in the real day, got too many memories.
At least you have memories. What do I have?
I didn't used to have to think. Now that's all I got, and it just all keeps going around. Stuff I don't want to think. Keep flooding in my brain.
Just your past catching up to you. Now you have to deal with all those feelings coming to the surface. It is all part of becoming human.
Time this all ended. Time to move on. I got to move on.
To move on, you have to follow the steps. You need to write to Amstead.
Jack sits back on the cot and pulls a paper from out under his pillow.
I tried to finish writing this so many times, but I ain't even sure if I have the right to ask him for anything.
You're the only one who can ask. It has to start with you. It will be for him as well as for you.
Just paper and pen. Another step. That's all I can do.
Once it is out of your hand, it will all be in his hands.
Jack signs his name, folds up the letter, and places it in an envelope, seals it, and lays it on the foot of the bed. Jack lies down in the cot and closes his eyes.
Not quite.
Armstead is slumped in his chair with one arm resting, stretched out on the table. There is a letter just within reach. MERCI walks to the table and nudges the letter to Armstead's hand. Armstead sits up and picks up the letter.
Now, what could he possibly have written to me?
Maybe you should open it.
How can he even put words on paper? I mean, fold the paper, insert it in an envelope, and dress the envelope. I mean, put a stamp on it and then actually mail it to me.
Maybe you should open it. Don't! Please open it. Read it.
To Mr. Amstead Langston. I know this letter gonna be hard to read. Almost as hard for me to write. But it's something I gotta do. If and I want my life to change. I know you ain't gonna care about my life. I get it. But I know I need to do this. I want to write more, but don't want to waste your time if you ain't gonna read more. I figure I leave it like this. You write to me if this is okay with you, then I write more. Jack Dunlap.
Not so bad. What are you going to do?
Write to him. He actually wants me to write to him after what he did to you.
Well, if you're going to put it on me, then I say you should write back.
I would personally rather write a letter to the devil himself.
You wouldn't like the heat. Just write him. Let the couriers take the heat.
And what could I possibly say to him? I mean, he would not want to read what I have to say.
Say what you want and let him decide what to do with it.
If he wants to hear from me, he's going to hear it all.
You will never know unless you open it.
To Jack Dunlap, I begin this letter with hatred and anger. Writing you was something I did not think you deserved, but now I think it's something that I deserve. What more could you possibly want from me after what you've already taken? What do you really think you could write? It could change anything that you have done. Armstead, Langston.
He's right. What more could I write? How could I expect any more?
Typical Jack Dunlap, giving up even before you get started. Don't be such a coward. Take responsibility for your actions. How can you expect to destroy those demons if you don't start fighting?
To Mr. Langston, I understand you not wanting to read nothing I write, and I don't expect to change the past. I want to change the future. I want to change who I am. I know you ain't gonna care about my life. I get it. But I do need to do this for my steps. I'm supposed to tell people like you that I'm sorry and make amends. I'm not sure how I could possibly make amends to you, but I know I have to ask. I want you to know, I'm not the same. In these 2 years since we last saw each other, I've been clean. I'm thinking different and seeing things different. I know you got no reason to write back. I just hope you do.
Amends? That boy must be more insane than he was 2 years ago. How could he possibly expect to make amends?
That is a good question. Maybe you could put that in a letter.
He destroyed this family. He doesn't understand what he has done. How could he possibly not know how much pain he has inflicted?
Get it out. Get it all out. This is for you, maybe even more than for him. Remind him of what he has done. Make him face up to it.
To Jack Dunlap.
What do you expect from me? You must know how much you have done to our family. There's no amends for what you have done. If you're looking for salvation, you will not find it in my writing. I'm afraid to write more. There's nothing in this letter but anger and hatred. That is all I have. Armstead Langston.
At least you wrote back.
Did it help?
Guess I couldn't expect much more.
Then you'll never have peace. What will you do now?
No, what I am now. I'm not the same.
How would he know that?
Dear Mr. Langston,
I want you to know I'm not the same person I was. I'm trying hard to change. If I could give you my life so that I could change everything that happened, I would. I wish I could do that for you. I know there are things that I could do to end what life I have left. If this would give you some peace, I will do it. if your world would be better with me not being in it, I will give you my life. With respect, Jack.
I see you got another letter.
To Jack Dunlap.
I hope what you say is true. However, even if it is true, I could not accept your offer of giving up your own life. All life is precious. Mercy would not want me to seek vengeance.
Nothing good ever came from vengeance. He taught me that. He said he learned that from the marches with Dr. King.
I was a freedom marcher, and I saw what anger can do. Vengeance never ends. It just only reproduces itself. I do hope you find a way to change your life. I've always found gardening as a way to find peace. The act of tending and growing a garden has always given me comfort and hope. If you nurture a garden, you'll reap the bounty of what you have tended. It's all up to you. Sincerely, Armstead.
He is trying to help you. I knew he would.
Dear Armstead, I noticed you ended your last letter with your first name. I hope it's okay for me to address this letter the same. I'm going to take your advice. There's an old garden here. It's in need of tending. I think I'll try to bring it back to life. If you have some pointers, I'd be grateful. If you feel right about helping me. If not, I understand. Gratefully, Jack.
Jack, I'm no expert gardener, but whatever I know, I'll share. For one thing, it's good to grow tomatoes near beans. Any kind of bean, really. Even sweet peas will do. They lack nitrogen in the soil, which the tomatoes need. And I'm really not sure what some beans get out of it, but the sweet peas always are something to look forward to when they bloom. Let me know how the tomatoes turn out. The ones you grow are always the sweetest. Armstead.
Thank you for your advice. I realize I never ask about you. How's everything with you? How's Mrs. Langston? I don't want to pry, and you don't have to give me any personal info, but I didn't want to be selfish. Sincerely, Jack.
We're getting by. Time, it does not heal all wounds, but as time goes by, there is less pain. Thank you for asking about Miss Langston. She's found solace in the church. I'm just grateful she's begun to attend once more. Church gives me some comfort, but it's the gardening that gives me the most hope. You should have some ripe tomatoes by now. Have you had any yet? You'll soon learn that the effort you put into the garden will make a sizable difference in the quality of vegetable you get out of it.
I'm hoping to see some tomatoes before the end of summer. It's the first time in my life I'm taking care of something besides me. I'm guessing gardening is a lot like raising youngins. Lots of kids in my neighborhood never got to good tending. Most of them never turned out good. I guess we needed more good gardeners, more than parents. I wonder if I would have grown different if things had been different. Guess I'll never know it. I suppose no matter what, I would have ended up in the same place. It was always going to be me, nothing more, nothing less.
We both know that is not true.
Some people are who they are, no matter what.
You know it's not true. You know I came from the same place as Jack, but my life was different. You and Beth made the difference. You tended to me. You nurtured me.
Yeah, I would like to think we made a difference, even if it was for a short time. I hope we changed your life.
You know you did. My life may not have gone as we planned it, but the time I had with you and Beth made me the best person I could be. Jack would have been a different person had he received the love and care you showered on me.
Jack, you must understand that we are all products of our past. What we live and what we experience will form our future. What we have to realize is that at some point we have to control how our past affects the rest of our lives. I want to believe that you are at that turning point.
Jack is sitting on his cot reading a letter.
I don't know much about your life except that you did come from the same neighborhood as MERCI. I've often wondered what life MERCI would have had we not adopted her. Not that we were perfect parents, but I like to think that we made a difference. I like to think your life would have gone down a different path had you had just a little more support. I really hope you're working hard on changing. Perhaps the first step for you would be to forget the past and to focus on the future. You have control now. The future is yours to make. With each letter I write, I'm beginning to let go of the past. You should also.
That is encouraging. Give him some understanding. Let him know what made you the person you once were.
Dear Amstead, if I can give you anything, I want it to be the proof you made a difference in MERCI's life. You should already know this, but if you have doubts, I offer you my life as proof. I would like to forget my life, but I can't. I have to remember that my past made me who I was. I want you to know who I was and who I ain't no more. It won't change anything, but it might help you understand. I can't ever remember anything of joy or being happy. The only thing I remember of my father was him throwing my mother against a wall and leaving. I never saw him after that. My mother and me moved around. She'd get with some new guy, with some new drug. Until he'd run out of drug or died or found someone younger, I became her whipping boy whenever nothing turned out the way she wanted. Then, when I got older, she started selling me to get her fix. I was given whatever would knock me out so that I wouldn't know what was going on. It got so bad that I couldn't be awake. I didn't want to see the world. I didn't want to be in it. After my mom's OD, I made my own hustles and started stealing or whatever I could do to knock myself out.
I wish I could change things, but I can't. I am sorry, Jack.
It's not enough, is it?
Why?
That's only a question he can answer, and only a question you can ask.
Jack sits on the cot reading a letter.
I know it must have been difficult to put those memories down. It did give me some understanding of your circumstance. I sometimes wonder if MERCI's life would have turned out similarly had she not come into my life and best life. But it did not tell me why. Why? After all that you took what you wanted, why did you have to take her life? That was the one question that was not answered at the trial. It was the one question that I needed answered. I deserve that much from you.
Tell me why MERCI had to die. Amstead.
Jack stands up from the cot.
You must have known that he would eventually ask that question.
Why? Why? Ask why. It's obvious. I broke in, she came home, she saw me, I killed her. Why the hell? That's why.
MERCI moves closer to Jack.
It wasn't that simple. Don't you remember, Jack? You were there 3 times in one night. It wasn't the first or the second time. It was the 3rd time. He wants to know why. You need to answer it. Why did I die?
What would it do? It ain't gonna justify it. It ain't gonna make a damn bit of difference to nobody.
He needs a reason. He needs to understand, but you needed more. You need to release it from where you are hiding it. You need to chase the demons out so they go away for good, so that I can go away for good. I guess I needed to also do this for me. To release me, you owe me at least that.
Jack sits on his cot and begins writing.
Instead, I don't think this will help much, but I'm guessing I need to get it out. The man that met Mercy was not me. It was the other me, the one that didn't care about anyone or anything. I needed to get fixed. I needed money. The only way I could think of getting money was to steal. That night at Mercy's was all an accident. It weren't planned. I didn't target the house. I didn't even know what was inside. The window was open. It was just left open. It was easy. No one was home. That was it. I wanted to grab whatever I could sell and get out. I wish I had been quicker, but I wasn't. She came home. When she came in, I knocked her down.
I didn't even have a chance to react. I couldn't even see. When I fell down, I lost my glasses. Everything was a blur.
Her glasses fell off. I could tell she were having trouble seeing. I knew she couldn't really see me good. I dragged her by the arm and shoved her into her kitchen chair. I told her I just wanted the stereo. I was going to leave with it, and she just needed to sit tight and not make a sound.
I was too scared to move. I was hoping you would just leave.
She nodded yes. After tying her down, I grabbed up the stereo and left. That was it. That was all.
Was it? You know there was more. Tell it all.
Should have been all. I got my fix, but it wore off quick. I needed more. I went back. There weren't any cops. The window was still open. She was still sitting there, tied up.
I had tried to free myself, but I couldn't. I tried to cry out, but the gag muffled my voice. No one heard me. I never thought you would come back.
I told her I needed more. She said all she had was what I could see and some jewelry and money in the bedroom. I took it all. When I got back to the kitchen, she said, I'd feel better if I used the money for food.
I wanted to help, but that just made you angry.
I started yelling. Not sure why. She was offering me something and I got angry. She even told me there were cold chicken in the refrigerator. I took it. It was some good fried chicken. I still can't believe she was feeding the man who was taking everything from her. She just sat there not saying anything, just listening to me eat. Something was still making me angry. I got up, grabbed the portable TV and left. I scored that night. I had enough. I was feeling good.
Good for you. But you are not done. That was the second time. What about the third trip? What happened? Tell him everything. If you want his forgiveness, make sure he knows what he has to forgive you for.
But it weren't enough. I wanted more. I wanted something else. I went back again. Still no cops. Still an open window. Still, she were tied to the chair. When I got in and saw her there almost sleeping in the chair, I knew I needed something else. I needed to take something else from her.
Jack stops writing. He stands up agitated and begins to pace.
You cannot stop now. You have to face it. Tell him what you did.
Details don't matter. It won't change a goddamn thing.
It will not change the past, but it will make a difference.
Jack sits back down and begins to write.
There are things I never want to speak on, things I'd rather forget, but I'm thinking for us, we need to get past these things. You have reached out to me when I thought you never would, and I need for you to know what I did before we can go on with whatever this thing is that we're doing. When I saw her the third time, sitting in the chair, I knew what I wanted was her. I untied her and she woke up. Started pulling her towards the bedroom. I think she realized what was going on because she started struggling for the first time.
It was the first time I was really frightened. You were close to me then. I could see the anger in your eyes. I tried to persuade you to change your mind.
She asked me to stop. She said I didn't need to do this. She said she wouldn't report what I had done, but I had to stop. That up to that point, I had not hurt anyone. She was trying to give me a way out. She was trying to help me.
I knew what was coming, like knowing death is near.
It made me more angry. A black girl trying to help me. A white man don't need any black girl's help.
All you had to do was leave. That was all you had to do.
I threw her on the bed.
MERCI falls to the floor.
I wanted to hurt her. I wanted to take everything from her. The anger overcame me. I ripped her clothes off. I stood over her as I unzipped my pants. I felt no desire for her. Only hatred. Hatred for my mother and the men she sold me to. Hatred for the life I got. And here was this little black girl who thought she could take all that away. I hated she had a better life than me. I wanted to take it all away from her.
MERCI is struggling on the floor.
But even then I pleaded. Even then you could have walked away. Even then I wanted to help.
She said she was a social worker and could help me turn my life around. I slapped her.
MERCI cries out.
I could see the fear and the tears. She was starting to cry. I told her to shut up, and I struck her again.
MERCI cries out and covers her face with her hand.
I told her I only needed one thing from her, and I was taking it. I got up on her and forced myself into her. I wanted it to hurt. I wanted her to feel all the pain I got in all my life.
MERCI curls up in pain, struggling.
I felt it all those years in one moment.
Just pain, hatred. A lifetime of anger in one moment.
MERCI slowly becomes motionless.
It was a lifetime of anger forced into me. There was no room for anything else.
MERCI curls up.
But you're not done, Jack Dunlop. You weren't done then, and you're not done now. Finish it! Finish it once and for all. Tell my father how you took everything away from me.
When I was done, I stood next to her. She was whimpering. I told her to keep quiet. She pulled the covers up around her and nodded her head. She said she wouldn't say anything.
I said, please leave.
She asked me to leave. I ripped the covers from around her. I screamed. You think you're still in control? You think you can still tell me what to do?
I didn't tell you. I asked you. You could have walked away. I could have lived with everything until then.
I jumped on her and I grabbed her with both my hands around her throat. She struggled, but she weren't strong enough.
MERCI struggles to protect her throat with both hands. Armstead's arms begin shaking.
MERCI! MERCI!
I stayed to nothing. Even when I knew it was all done, I kept my hands around her neck. I stood up and looked down on her. I could feel every muscle in my body was rigid.
MERCI lays on the floor, holding her stomach.
But still, it was not enough.
But it wasn't enough.
When you stood over me, what were you looking at?
I stood there looking down, but all I saw was my mother lying limp on her bed. I thought of all the times I had seen her like that, and all the times I wanted to pay her back for what she had done to me.
And what you wanted to do with her, you never did. So you used me.
I rolled her over and forced myself into her.
MERCI rolls over on her stomach.
MERCI! MERCI!
I was thankful to be dead. I could not feel.
I wanted it to be painful. Even if she could not feel anymore, I still wanted to hurt her. When it was done, there were no pleasure. All there was anger. It didn't make the anger go away. I took everything from her, and still I had nothing.
And to you, I was nothing.
She was still. I sat there longer than I should have, but I couldn't move. I rolled her over.
Mercy rolls over on her back.
Her eyes were open. And even then, I saw pity in them. I felt the anger raising up in me. I grabbed her hands, but I felt the warmness leaving her body. Folded her arms across her body and covered her with sheets.
That was the moment you were almost human again.
Mercy turns toward Armstead. She slowly struggles to stand. She staggers toward Armstead. Armstead sits motionless, barely able to hold on to the letter.
After some time, I got up and left. I didn't carry anything out with me.
Mercy stands near Armstead and looks towards Jack.
It wasn't him. Not him now. And even then, it wasn't him. He was what life had made him.
All she wanted was to help you. She did not deserve this. No one should die like this. All she wanted was to help.
But I could not help him. I was only an object. It wasn't me he wanted to kill.
Who's left? He took away my whole life. What was I thinking? This is insane. How could I possibly exchange letters, words with such a person?
Because of the person you are. Because of the marches you made. Because you rescued one person who needed you. Now there is another.
How much more can I do? Price is too painful.
What is the price of mercy? What is the value of forgiveness if it is given too easily? My life was short, but what I had, what I became, was because of what you gave me. Had you known Jack back then, I know you would have changed him also, but there is still time for him. With your guidance, he can start to be a different person.
No, I'm just an old man with nothing left. I've lost everything. There's nothing more I have to give, especially nothing to someone who has taken everything from me.
He took one life. Don't let him take another. You have Beth, and she needs you whole, not broken by pain of loss. I know in the words you have read, you see the potential for change, for forgiveness. My life is gone, but memory of what you taught me, what you gave me, can live on if you live. Live fully so that I can never be forgotten. You have another chance to change another life and save your own. You must go on. If you don't, I will completely disappear. I live on only in your and Beth's thought. Don't bury me in pain and anger. Give my life and death meaning.
Jack, I am a father without children. All I have are the memories. But it's because of those memories that I continue to write to you. I do not want the memories of Mercy to wither away, but I know that if I hold on to this anger and grief, her memories will be tainted. I want to honor Mercy and keep her alive for who she was. I no longer want her death to be the only thing I think about when I look at her photo. She would not want me to seek vengeance or to waste away in anger. She would want me to live as I always did, as I always strive to do.
As you always taught me to do.
A father can't escape what he's taught his children. I'll be unfaithful to my words if I ignore them now.
This will free you.
By ignoring everything I told Mercy I believe in, I have created a self-imposed prison, built of choices formed by bitterness.
No, release yourself.
By holding on to anger and resentment with both fists, I've allowed you to control my life. By not being able to forgive, I've lost part of myself. It's as though I'd taken poison, hoping that it would kill you, and all along, all I was doing was killing Mercy. The only way I could save Mercy is to offer forgiveness.
And save you.
Mercy moves over to Jack. Jack is sitting up, reading a letter.
The only way I can save Mercy is to offer forgiveness?
He is offering you peace.
I want to believe that you are not an evil person, and that the man you were meant to be is still possible. I saw it in you. When I stood in that courtroom, I could feel it. I could feel it. I saw you shaking. I saw your tears. And when the trial started, I wanted to tear you to pieces. I wanted it to hurt. Then I saw you already hurting. And I knew I could not say anything that could hurt you. But even then, I had the thought to forgive you, but I could not utter words. I couldn't speak. Not then. I know now that I need to be the person I was when I was her father. To do anything less would destroy everything that I said that I was. Everything that I hoped to give to Mercy, I must now pass on to you.
I want to offer you forgiveness and the hope that it will give you some comfort to face your past and move on. It can help you honor the memories of Mercy and keep her alive. You can forgive yourself for what you have done. For in the memory of Mercy, I have forgiven you. Sincerity, Hempstead Langston. I wanted these words. I never expected them. How could a father do this?
A father who believes in what he teaches. It is the only father he can be. What will you do with it?
I don't know what I can do with what's left of my life, but I do know there's no place left for anger. There's nothing in the past that I can't forgive. I found peace in that.
You should let Amstead know that in your next letter.
I will let him know just how much he has done for me. Tomorrow. Now I want to rest. For the first time in a long time, I think I can rest.
How strange. How bright you seem. As though there were light inside of it. How bright you are.